Is there any declaration of,
Roll
sorry,
call.
oh, sorry. Roll call.
Thank you.
Thank goodness you're here, always keeping me in line. Roll call, please.
Counselor Mackey?
Present.
Counselor Gamble?
Present.
Counselor Burley?
Present.
Counselor Carlton?
Present.
Counselor McQueen?
Present.
Counselor Desai?
Present.
Counselor Patterson? Gordon Hicks?
Here.
Counselor Clumpus? Counselor Keaveney?
Present.
Counselor Body?
Present.
Counselor O'Leary?
Present.
Counselor Woodbury?
Present.
Counselor Millen?
Present.
Counselor Soever?
Present.
Counselor Bartnicki?
Present.
Counselor Robinson will be arriving a bit late. Counselor Hutchinson?
Present.
Very good. Now I can ask if there's any declaration of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we'll proceed. We're looking, first of all, to adopt the minutes of Council and Committee of the Whole on May 23rd. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Body, seconded by Councillor Milne. Any discussion of those minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Are there any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Secondly, approval of the minutes from the CAO Performance Evaluation Committee dated May 23rd. I'm looking for a mover. Moved by Councillor Clumpus, seconded by Councillor Bartnicki. Any discussion of those minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Along, Board of Health minutes and the board report. The minutes are dated April 26th. The report is dated May 24th. I'm looking for a mover, please. Okay, Councillor Patterson, seconded by Councillor Burley. Thank you. I know who you are. Dr. Era?
Good morning, Council. So,
Morning.
my update is going to be mainly around the modernization of the proposed budget. As all of you by this time are aware, there are proposed changes, and these changes, I look at them in three categories: the changes to the boundaries, changes to funding, and proposed changes to funding, to governance. And there is a fourth component that would cover all of them. It's a consultation that's expected to happen in the summer and the fall. So on the first one, provincially, the number of health units is going to be downsized from 35 currently to proposed 10. And for our region, it's going to be Grey Bruce amalgamated with Huron and Perth. The word amalgamated has not been used in proposed budgets. Different words have been used: restructuring, modernization. All in all, to me, it looked like amalgamation. For the funding, the total for our health unit is going to be about 10% shift from the province to the municipalities. And it's, if you break it down, it's two categories. There is 100% funded programs. It's going to be turned into 70. 30, 70 for the province, 30 for the municipality. And the current formula for the shared programs from 75 province, 25 municipality is going to also be shifted to 70-30. Our region is going to be considered one of the northern rural regions, so the funding is going to stay as 70-30. Other health units across the province is going to be treated differently, and their funding is going to be shifted at different formulas. The governance part is probably the most concerning to all of us in public health, which is the possible loss of the current board structure that's related to municipalities and related to local need. So the proposed change is going to be autonomous boards also, but there is no indication whether it's going to be autonomous from elected municipals or from one person, like the model that's currently with the LIN. They appointed one person to be the board. Is it going to be shared or not? Anyways, the consultation during the summer and the fall is going to be addressing the governance part of it, possibly the boundaries or the founding and the funding. Although it seems the boundaries and the funding to be less amendable through consultation. throughout whatever I heard from the different stakeholders around the table. I would urge everybody around the table, and I know there are people of the highest caliber in the business that you do, politics, to try to our best to maintain the relationship between public health and local communities, local municipalities. There are different models across the country where they centralized and decentralized, and centralized, like Alberta, centralized to the province level, then decentralized to the region level, then they back to the centralized to the provincial level. And in my own bias, none of them really worked as good as what we have in Ontario, the unique experiment that we have, that there are local public health units. So during the consultation, I would urge all of us to do our best to keep that connection going. So that's one of the three main goals that I proposed to the board, and to my delight, the Board of Health supported me in these three objectives. The number one is to ensure continued services to the public, no interruption to that. The second one is to meet the provincial cost-saving targets, and the third one is to keep the connection with the municipalities and the communities. The consultation, that's the fourth part of my update. Yesterday we learned that it's starting in June. It's going to be private consultation with the technical part of the sector, Alpha and other organizations, for June. Then in July it's going to be open for municipalities, for public health boards, for MOHs. And August is going to be the month that the ministry is going to digest all this information and table the legislation later in the fall. Again, in my own bias, I look at the timelines for the consultation. It is minimal. Especially in July, it's the month that most governments take some time off. So is it going to be as meaningful? I can't judge, but I hope that all of us would put our effort during that month to try to shape this change in a positive way. The second part of the consultation that concerns me a bit, why is it private for the first part? Consultation by definition is public. So this might change. We had COMO, which is the Council of Medical Officers of Health, and Alpha meeting 2 days ago, and we asked the ministry to open it up for public. So this is mainly the update, and I would like to share with the council our health unit's vision to this change, and my own professional vision, and it's still a vision evolving. I think although there is a challenge, no question, there is a huge opportunity in it. Perth and Huron, both of them have the same geography and demography like us. In my initial proposal to the board, or update, before the boundaries were released, I talked about different scenarios, from all the way catastrophic to in the middle, midway, and what I called at the time wishful thinking would be amalgamation with Perth and Huron. And it turned to be the case. Actually, the media called me on it later, saying, how did you know this? Well, it just, it applies certain criteria of logic, and any two people would arrive to the same number, 2 + 2 = 4. Anyways, so I believe there is a huge opportunity in it. We can up our capacity. We have state-of-the-art building from public health point of view. Anybody who hasn't visited, you can visit it, and you would see that the capacity of it at this point is 100 employees. It could be scaled up to 200 or 300. There is a potential eventuality in the future where we can invite jobs to this area, take them from Toronto. Public Health Ontario is an organization that supports all health units, and they don't have, for example, a department for rural public health or Aboriginal public health. And we believe we have the expertise and the infrastructure, especially the IT and the building, to actually take advantage of this change and maybe bring jobs to the area, reduce the infrastructure pressure in Toronto to create these departments. This pitch has been shared with different players around the table, and it has been well received. And again, I will keep you posted with any change, and I would invite all of you to try our best in July to preserve the connection between public health and the local communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Are there any questions from council? Councilor Bartnicki?
Through you, Mr. Warden, thank you very much for your presentation and your candid honesty on our projected risks and opportunities here. Would you be so kind, Dr. Era, as to send all of us talking points so that when we participate in the consultation process, that we have the benefit of the knowledge that you have? Is that a possibility?
Most certainly not just a possibility. We already have a SWOT analysis, strength, weakness analysis, and we have a briefing note of 1 page supported by 3 pages if anybody wants more details, and the 25 pages if you want to send it to technical staff who would want to work on it. It will be shared with all the council with your permission.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. So I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried, thank you. Council, we have 2 bylaws for approval. You're all aware of it. Bylaw 506119 and 506219. I'll ask for a mover to put those items on the table. Moved by Councillor Keaveney, seconded by Councillor Burley. Any discussion? And I'll call the question. All those in favor? Are there any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. My favorite part, good news and celebrations. Councillor Burley?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I'd just like to bring the county council up to date on our passenger service from Wharton Airport to Toronto Island. It's been going fantastic. Every day it improves. We've had a lot of people that they found out they can fly from Wharton to Toronto Island to Niagara to, we've had nurses that have gone from our area, flown from Wharton to Toronto Island back up to Thunder Bay to a conference. It's just amazing how people are getting on board and see how important this airport and this passenger service is to Grey Bruce. And it's working good, and we're going to bring a report or a update to county council maybe in the next month or so, just so everyone can see just how important it is and what how everybody's getting on board with it. We're running about 35 to 40% rate right now, so it's just amazing how it's working out.
Good, congratulations. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. We have some exciting recycling news. The Town of Hanover and the Municipality of Brockton have partnered together to purchase a densifier machine, which came from Denmark. And what this machine does, it takes expanded polystyrene foam, which we know as styrofoam, that's the brand name, and you put it in the machine, it grinds it up, and it comes out in 40-pound blocks. We expect to conserve 20 53-foot trailer loads from going into our landfill. So if you get a chance, it's set up in Brockton in the town of Walkerton in their former MTO building. Take a look, check it out, and I have a feeling we're probably going to need a bigger machine because people have said, can we come on board with you? Right now it's a pilot project, but it is going to save space in our landfill. So it's pretty exciting, and I should mention Bruce Power and the Canadian plastics industry also helped get this project going. So, thanks.
It's awesome news. And the product at the end can be sold, correct? Yes.
I should mention there is a market for it, and it's going to be plastic, like plastic railings, siding, anything that the industry can turn into plastic. They're looking for it, and of course, to ship that is a lot easier than to ship these lightweight styrofoam somewhere else. So 40-pound blocks they're coming out in. So
That is good news. Councillor Desai.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. So Grey Gables is turning 115, and as such, on Saturday, June 22nd, they're having a bit of a garden party, weather permitting, of course. The rain location, I believe, is indoors. And the festivities begin at 1 p.m., and the hope is that we can have quite a few people from here join us in Markdale on that day. And, yeah.
Thank you for the invitation. Councillor Bartnicki.
For you, Mr. Warden, I actually have two, and the one is about a young mother in Thornbury. Her name is Deanna Posey. Deanna has just placed first in the World CrossFit competition. The win takes her to Madison, Wisconsin shortly to further defend the position. And she was born and has lived most of her life in Thornbury, and she and her family moved away, and when she came back and started this process, she was actually 3 months pregnant. So this is just an incredible win for her. I will send that around. The second is good news on another front, following Councillor Carlton's great news. I attended a release of a film, and it was released in Owen Sound. I did talk to Councillor Leary about this earlier. It's called Resilience, and it was done by Dr. John Anderson and Liz Zettler, who is an award-winning filmmaker. It's a real call to action on climate change. I attended in Wyerton on Tuesday evening, and the stars of the show were really Owen Sound in Wyerton, which had 180 people turn out. And I know that there's a great grassroots movement in Owen Sound that may be a model for many of us. The film is available for any community, and we will be hosting a showing in Thornbury next Tuesday. If anybody wants to come and see what the reaction of community members might be to that and take it back to yours, they come to you, it is free of charge, they have a facilitator, there's very little work for you to do at the local level except for find a venue to host it. And I think this call to action is incredible because it is a grassroots one. And I encourage you. I will send that poster around for anybody who wants the information. And I'm happy to give the contact information for the hosts as well.
Thank you for that news, Councillor Bartnicki. It's very well done, film, well worth seeing, and I understand it's also available on YouTube for those people that can't attend an event. Councillor Soever.
Yes, about a month ago, we reported to you that our water had won the annual water taste test at the Ontario Waterworks Association conference. Well, this month I can report to you that we won the best of the best water taste event hosted at the American Waterworks Association conference. So that means the 44 divisions of that, if you won one of those, you could enter your water in the North American competition. And we did win that, so we not only have the best tasting cider, but we also have the best tasting water.
Very good. I'll drink to that. Councillor McQueen.
Well, that's probably why you got the best cider, because you got the best water. Thank you, Mr. Warden and county councillors. I just want to remind everyone, I think an invite has been sent out to you from myself and my council for our mayor's breakfast next Monday. We hope to, I think we're on 120 people now at the Kimplex in Flesherton, and certainly please get your notice in there to our economic development, Michelle Harris. We have a number of speakers that morning. We're also going to have the chair of Roma, Alan Thompson, will be there. And so there's going to be a panel of millennials that will be speaking, and I think it's going to be a really exciting morning. So please do attend if you can. If you have other obligations, that's fine, but I think, like I said, we're around 120 people at this time. So I look forward to seeing you all. Thanks.
Thank you for the invite. I'll be there. Councillor Body.
Thank you, Warden Hicks. Sunday, June 23rd, our local CMHA, Grey Bruce, is hosting Ride Don't Hide, which is a fundraiser for mental health. We've got a really great mental health team and people that are so enthusiastic in our area. It's a beautiful ride. Of course, we all think, well, we all know that some of the best views in the world are here in Grey County. It starts in Kelso Beach. It crosses the line out into Georgian Bluffs, so I'm hoping the county roads and the Georgian Bluffs roads will be safe and clean that day. Part of the tour, depending how far you go, will go past the Wyerton Airport. I'm not sure that we'll drop in for a flight, but we'll at least have a view on our way past. So it starts early Sunday morning. I encourage everyone to sign up or to come and sponsor anyone that's riding the 80-kilometer ride. You know, when we look over at the town of Blue Mountains and how good they've become with sports tourism, 4 seasons, and we've got a delegation coming up in a few minutes with regard to a Bayshore running race. Things like Ride Don't Hide and these running races are so good at drawing people up to Grey Bruce from outside of our area. So it's I expect that it's growing. In fact, I know the Ride Don't Hide is growing, and I'm sure the Bayshore race will be growing too, and it's important for our area. So I hope everyone comes out and supports us. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Body. Anyone else? I have some good news. We talked about the challenge around tourism, right? Remember that from a few meetings ago? I have met the challenge. I did visit the Meaford, the ghost tour, the ghost, or the church ghost tour, which I mentioned to you previously, so that was one. And my second event was a visit to Eugenia Falls in Grey Highlands, and I had a short hike from the falls. But while I was there, I noticed that there is an interesting hike that you can do from Eugenia Falls to Hoggs Falls. Has anyone ever done that hike? 1, okay. 2. I'm planning to do that hike. If anyone else is interested in doing that hike sometime, you go from beautiful Eugenia Falls, and I've seen only pictures of Hoggs Falls. I've never actually been there, but I'm planning sometime to do that 6.2 hike. I hear it can be a little bit, it's got places where you need to be careful. If you stay on the beaten track, I'm told you're going to be just fine, but head off that beaten track and it can get a little scary. I was hanging on to my daughter pretty tight. But anyways, my challenge has been met, and I'm looking forward to others around the table reporting at future meetings about meeting your challenge of 2 events in Grey County. Councillor Desai.
I'd recommend you have a car on either side.
Yes.
I made that mistake.
Stranded, right? Try calling Uber. All right. Anyone else? Very good. That I'm looking for a Thank you.
Just a question about your challenge. Does liquid tourism count?
Sure, but we're hearing about water
I've been to a lot
and
of places that, for instance, brew cider or beer, but I have partaken of a wide geographic area. Does that count? Really,
Well,
I think it should.
if it includes the water in Blue Mountains and some of the cider,
Yeah.
okay,
Don't ask me to recite them, but from memory, but I think
yeah.
All right, that's it.
Very good.
And here we thought you were going to talk about maple syrup.
Yeah, students, excuse me. Thank you.
Liquid gold.
All right, here's the exciting part of good news. We have some visitors today that I'm really excited about. Team Blue Water, who represented us at the Canada-wide Science Fair. So I understand we have Islay Graham, Macy Cotterill, Rachel Urhart. Am I saying that properly? I'm probably butchering names. Brianna Garvey and Ashlyn Cool. Present, are they here? Yes. Come on forward. I understand that each of you have prepared a 15-minute submission? I'm only teasing. Come forward, please. You're probably nervous as heck already, and I'm messing with them. Who do we have here? Heather? Is Heather Weber? Nobody to do introductions. Come on forward. Come right up to the microphone because this is being recorded and we can't hear you. But I do understand. I welcome you folks to County. Come on forward. Really, I don't bite hard. There we go. It's so exciting. I was really excited to read about your achievements and ask that staff reach out to you folks and invite you here. And here you are. I think one is missing, right? Reagan Taylor. Anyways, would you each like to maybe tell us a little bit about what your project was about and what you achieved? That would be great.
I'm Isla Graham, and I did my project on the Great Lakes piping plovers, which are an endangered bird species. And at one point they were all the way down to only 17 breeding pairs in all of the Great Lakes and no sight of any in Ontario. And then the first pair had finally returned to Ontario in 2007, and that was at Sauble Beach here. And since then there's been beach maintenance, and that's been a very controversial issue there. And so I wanted to look into whether that was affecting the plover's habitat or not. And so that was my question. And I had conducted 3 different investigations to prove or disprove my hypothesis, which was that they do not prefer a clean beach and prefer something that provides them with camouflage, food source, and shelter. And so my first investigation was taking different digital images of different nest sites in Ontario, and I found 28 different nest sites and averaged the percentages at the end of the vegetation and debris, and found that an ideal plover habitat would contain about 10.9% of vegetation, 12.7% of wood and reed, and 17% of stones and shells. And so about 40.5% of an average nest in Ontario should contain vegetation and or debris. So my second investigation was a comparison of the 3 nests at Sauble Beach. So having like a real life visual of the different nests. And so I was also comparing the amounts of vegetation and debris and found that they all contain some sort of debris in their habitat as well. And my last investigation was a behavioral study. And so I was looking at the different behaviors that the plovers did and where they spent their time the most. And from this I found that the most common place to spend their time was the rack line, which is the high water mark after a storm containing sorts of driftwood and debris. And I had found that it provided them with food source, camouflage, and shelter. Shelter against human disturbance, like joggers on the shoreline and things, and then camouflage from predators. And so from all of my studies, I was able to conclude that they do not prefer a clean beach, and vegetation and debris should be expected in their habitat for about 40.5% of vegetation and or debris, and that raking the rack line before the plovers return could potentially be damaging towards the plovers and as well as hasten their extinction.
Wow. And so you achieved what?
I won Best of Fairford Junior Division, which was the Platinum Award, and gold medal, $4,000 scholarship to Western, Youth
$3,000 award I see here.
Youth Canada Innovation Award.
I see 3. 4,000 and 3,000 and 500. I'm wondering if you would give me a loan. Anyways, and what's next for you?
Next year I get to go to Internationals, which is in Anaheim, California.
Awesome, congratulations. So next, if I could turn to, is it Macy? Macy, tell us about your project.
For my project, I constructed an automated greenhouse that can be remotely controlled over the internet from a web app that I created. The greenhouse operates using an event-based control system. So that means that it operates entirely on its own. using actuators and sensors. So the greenhouse system strives to maintain the growing conditions in the optimum range to produce the highest quality and the largest yields of the crop. So this is done through the activation or deactivation of various actuators based on the values of sensor readings.
And you're from Desboro. I drive through Desboro all the time. Congratulations. And you won an award. Tell us about the award that you won.
I won a silver medal, which comes with a $2,000 entrance scholarship to Western University.
Huh? Not bad. Awesome. Rachel, you're next.
Project, I tested and compared 5 methods of lowering heart rate, coloring a picture, listening to music, deep breathing, walking, and the diving response to lower my heart rate when I was stressed or nervous. So, to activate the diving response, I held a bag with cold water over my face for 30 seconds and held my breath for the first 10 seconds. After the 30 seconds, I removed the bag of cold water and continued to sit in the chair for the rest of the 5-minute mark. I tested each experiment for 5 minutes with 51 participants, 30 females and 21 males. It turned out at the 30-second mark that the diving response works the best to lower heart rate, which was followed by listening to music, deep breathing, coloring a picture, and then walking. For the longer time frame, 5 minutes, the diving response still had the greatest drop in heart rate, but was followed closely behind by deep breathing, listening to music, coloring a picture, and then walking. I put my data into t-tests at 30 seconds to see if there was a statistically significant difference against the diving response and the other 4 calming activities at the 30-second mark. And there was a statistically significant difference at the 30-second mark. However, at the 5-minute mark, there was not a statistically significant difference between the diving response and deep breathing, but there was a statistically significant difference between the diving response and the other 3 common activities.
Well done. Wow. Yeah. And how did you do?
I got a bronze medal and a $1,000 scholarship to Western University.
And you're from Tara. Brianna. Right, I'm going to do 2 more and then I'll open it up for questions, okay? Brianna?
I did my project on deoxynivalenol, which is also known as DON, and it is a mycotoxin that is found in corn, which is created by molds and fungi, and it had become a large issue this summer throughout Ontario. So for my project, I did a test on the variability and accuracy between different quick tests versus lab results on DON. So I tested an ELISA test kit, which is the most common type of test kit and is used at feed mills. And then I had also done 3 tests on those, and I used 2 different ELISA test kits, a DON Flex and a DON 3. And I had then taken those 3 corn samples and used them and tested them on a lab. And then I decided to use further research, and I reached out to the other feed mills, and I gained 3,845 different results. And I'd also compared those for the variability and accuracy throughout all the testing.
Congratulations. And you're from Hanover. Yeah. And how did you do?
I got a bronze medal and a $1,000 entrance scholarship to Western.
Oh, bravo.
So for my experiment, I created simulated stomach acid out of muriatic acid, otherwise known as hydrochloric acid or HCl. Then I put 12 different over-the-counter painkillers into the hydrochloric acid and saw how long it took to dissolve. The purpose of conducting this experiment was to determine how fast different painkillers dissolve, therefore to become effective the fastest, so I was testing the different coatings. My hypothesis is that medications with a film coating such as aspirin would dissolve the fastest, and I was correct with that hypothesis. I also found that medications with a rapid release gel coating dissolved quite fast as well, and I tested in pHs of 1, 1.5, and 2.
Wow. Dr. Era, are you learning anything here? Congratulations. And you too are from Desboro. That's 2 from Desboro. Fabulous. Okay, now I'll open it up for questions. Councillor Desai.
Thank you for all the presentations, young ladies. The question I had was with regards to the heart rate experiment. You said that you had 51 participants, 30 were female and 21 were male. Why did you choose to go with those numbers instead of going 30 and an equal number of males and females?
It was just the number of participants that I could get. I did my school, my dad's work, my gymnastics club, and a couple of my close friends from other places, and that's just the number that I got. So.
Dr. Ara.
I would like to support the different numbers. It makes better research. Whenever I look at a study and look 30-30 means the sample was biased, chosen. This is probably a more random sample, so I would totally.
There you go. Right on. Councillor Bartnicki.
Through you, Mr. Warden, congratulations to you, to your parents, and to your teachers. I'm a teacher, but 20 years ago, the number of girls in STEM sciences was probably 3 in 100. Now we have 5 winning STEM girls right in front of us, and I think you show us a lot of hope for the future. I don't know if your teachers are in the audience, but I know they certainly along your paths had an influence, and it's very unfortunate that Councillor Desai did not have one of those teachers.
Oh dear. Never mind. Don't listen. All right. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much for visiting. I'm impressed that you can say statistically significant so many times and just have it roll off the tongue. Anyways, wonderful of you to come and visit. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Would you like a photo op?
Oh, yes, I would like a photo op.
Okay.
Rob?
Rob's ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys mind if we take a picture? That's a really good point. The point that's been made is when you're done your education, we need you to come back to Grey and Bruce County. So I can tweet. Oh. Well, that was good.